The Wallabies are in a world of hurt, and the pressure on coach Joe Schmidt is mounting after a disastrous end to their spring tour. Their recent 48-33 loss to France in Paris was the final blow. But here's where it gets controversial. Even with a much improved performance compared to their earlier games against England, Italy, and Ireland, the Wallabies suffered a winless four-test tour of Europe, a first since 1958. And this is the part most people miss. Schmidt's team has also become the first Australian side to lose 10 tests in a single calendar year, causing his winning percentage to plummet below 40%. It's a stark contrast to the joy of their victory over the touring British and Irish Lions and their memorable win against the world champion Springboks on South African soil back in 1963, which now feels like a distant memory. Les Kiss is scheduled to take over from Schmidt after the inaugural Nations Championship next July, giving the Queensland Reds coach just over a year to prepare the Wallabies for the 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia. But the calls for Schmidt to step down are likely to get louder, as his winning strike rate has dropped to 39%, the second worst for a Wallabies coach with 20 or more tests under their belt in almost 60 years. Only Dave Rennie's 36% was worse, and he was quickly fired by Rugby Australia after a similarly disappointing 2022 spring tour. Despite the disheartening results, Schmidt is urging the long-suffering Wallabies fans to keep the faith. "We're disappointed we didn't finish with the victory that I know you would have all loved to see, but the players have made a heck of an effort," he told Stan Sport. "There's 15 tests in 22 weeks with the amount of travel I've had. I just admire the way they have dusted themselves off and gone again. And it wasn't for lack of effort tonight. A little bit more execution." The disappointing stats overshadow an encouraging turnaround from the Wallabies at Stade de France on Saturday night, local time. After going into the break tied at 19-19, the battling tourists, led by some powerhouse efforts from the forward pack, threatened a shock win over the reigning European champions. Props Taniela Tupou and Angus Bell, along with two-try hooker Matt Fessler, were outstanding, and skipper Harry Wilson was, as usual, inspirational. However, the Wallabies once again proved to be a 60-minute team, as Les Blues, inspired by electric winger Louis Beale-Byrie, pulled ahead to a match-winning 16-point lead late in the game. Determined to avoid an unwanted place in the history books, the Wallabies came out strong, with Wilson sending Bell on a powerful run to put the visitors on the attack early. Fessler capitalized with a pick-and-drive effort to give the Wallabies a 5-0 lead. In a sign of what was to come, World Player of the Year nominee Beale-Byrie set up centre Nicolas Deporter minutes later in a deadly French counterattack. Bell put Australia back in front 12-7 with a barnstorming 30-metre runaway try after Jake Gordon's quick tap had the French backpedaling. Fullback Thomas Ramos levelled the scores before a brilliant chip chase try earned France a 19-12 advantage. Fessler's second try, from a driving maul after French scrum half Maxime Lecoux was yellow-carded, locked the test up at halftime. Deporter's second try and a Ramos penalty helped France to a 27-19 lead before classy winger Max Jorgensen produced a magical solo try to reduce the deficit to a point. That was as close as the Wallabies would get as further tries to Beale-Byrie and hookers Julian Marchand and Maxime Lamotte, and 10 second-half penalties, killed off Australian hopes. The Wallabies needed to win by 16 points to secure a crucial top 6 seeding for next month's 2027 World Cup draw. Instead, the 15-point loss will leave the tournament hosts facing a sudden death round of 16 showdown with one of the global heavyweights such as South Africa, New Zealand, France, Ireland, or England. What do you think? Can Schmidt turn things around, or is it time for a change? Share your thoughts in the comments.